Today I would like to talk about 8 ways narcissists are conditioning their victims within a toxic relationship with them. I will start out explaining what conditioning actually means in the context of narcissistic abuse, and then talk about the 8 ways of conditioning. So if you would like to skip ahead, you will find the timestamps in the description below. So what is conditioning? First of all, narcissists are highly delusional. They always have this perfect idea or vision of a partner in their minds, and through conditioning, they are able to shape their victims according to that image and gain full power and control over them in the course of their relationships. Since narcissists tend to objectify their partners, you simply have to function to their expectations, like a tool they picked off a shelf at a department store. Of course, though, nobody is perfect, and over time, you cannot live up to a narcissist's idea of perfection. In a way, it's dehumanizing. And ironically, narcissists will often use the "nobody's perfect" catchphrase as an excuse to get away with their own bad behavior. As we all know, narcissists are probably the most imperfect individuals you will have ever met, and they are full of double standards such as these. Whatever applies to you doesn't necessarily have to apply to them, at least in their opinion. Narcissists condition you in almost every aspect of your life. What to say, how to behave, what to look like. I often thought I wished he had simply put a script on the table in the morning, so I would have known exactly what to do and what to say throughout the day to not upset him. The narcissist kind of turns into the director of the movie that is your life, and there are no second takes. Susan Forward, the author of the book Emotional Blackmail, talks about the so-called FOG, F-O-G, which stands for fear, obligation, and guilt. Basically, she was referring to if-then scenarios, meaning if you act in a certain way, then you will fear the consequences of it and feel guilty if you did the wrong thing. That way, you develop the obligation to always do or say the right thing, and a fear of not complying with the narcissist's expectations of you starts occupying your thoughts and actions 24/7. You start walking on eggshells in an adult relationship. You begin to lower your standards, boundaries, and your own expectations to avoid repercussions and punishment. Over time, the narcissist has molded you into the perfect slave, so to speak, literally a puppet on a string. However, you will never be able to live up to the narcissist's ideas of perfection, because he will be constantly shifting the goalpost and impose new expectations on you. The typical dare if you do, dare if you don't. Over time, the feeling of walking on eggshells becomes worse and feels like treading on a minefield in a war zone that once was your comfortable home. No wonder survivors of narcissistic abuse struggle to heal from post-traumatic stress in similar ways as soldiers and veterans who were deployed to war. So what are the consequences of all of that? You lose yourself and your identity, your independence, your autonomy to make your own healthy decisions in life. Your self-confidence, trust, worth, and esteem to the point of physical and mental exhaustion, and live in a constant state of hypervigilance and fear and anxiety as you anticipate to get punished for whatever reason the narcissist just makes up in the moment, and blame yourself over and over again for whenever things go wrong. As I said before, narcissists are constantly shifting the goalpost. There is no winning with them. Ultimately, you silence your inner and outer voice just to keep peace and accommodate the narcissist to the fullest, while forgetting and neglecting your own needs and well-being in the process. You end up being a shell of the person you once were before, being the only one trying to make the relationship work, but it never seems to be good enough. So, what are typical ways how narcissists condition their victims? The first and most obvious way narcissists condition their victims to behave is when they use overt threats in form of verbal or physical abuse. They are basically confronting you with the immediate consequences of your actions. Especially malignant narcissists, psychopaths, or sociopaths are prone to being more overt and direct in their ways of intimidation. But of course, this also includes the covert type of narcissists, because they are overtly abusive behind closed doors. Second way to condition you is by abruptly leaving or giving you the silent treatment, which is to instill confusion or a fear of abandonment. It's a power and control move, and many narcissists also have avoidant attachment issues. They simply cannot deal with conflict as a secure person would, and rather escape the whole situation altogether. That way, nothing ever gets resolved with a narcissist. It's literally frustrating. In a previous podcast that I will link in the description below, I mentioned how the narcissist in my life used to constantly shut me down, saying I was interrupting him, which I wasn't. I simply couldn't interject and have a normal, dynamic conversation with him like I had with everyone else. In a conversation with a narcissist, there's only ever one person talking, and that is the narcissist, of course. Your obligation is to shut up and listen. Over time, I was too afraid to talk at all, and the anxiety it created developed a speech impairment that I had only known from my childhood when I was little and bullied in school. That's what narcissists are. They are bullies. But as I fell completely silent in our relationship, this wasn't good either. He would get angry with me about that too and say, "Use your words." I will never forget him saying that. Which I believe was a trap, again, as in dare if you do, dare if you don't. There's simply no winning with them. And speaking of childhood, we are often receptive to that kind of abuse because we were already conditioned to believe that this was normal. We were growing up in an abusive household, or we were given wrong advice along the way, like the old adage, if a boy hurts you, it means that he likes you. Let's not pass these old ideals on to our generation of children. The third way narcissists may condition you more likely than not is through intermittent reinforcement, which means the narcissist will reward or punish you in turns, and over time, you have to work harder to be rewarded. It's the same addiction that is formed when you are gambling at a casino and overstay your visit, not realizing that you experience loss after loss after loss. You just never know what the odds are of winning their game. As I said before, the goalpost is always shifting. And quite often, narcissists make their decisions based on how they feel in the moment. If they are having a good moment, you will most likely get the reward. If not, well, then not. And that makes narcissists also so dangerous. Their whole decision-making is often dependent on their emotional state. And that has often nothing to do with you. How often did the narcissist in your life come home angry because somebody at work got him upset? And you were the one serving as a punching bag or a scapegoat that he displays his anger on. It's not fair. But then again, what is ever fair when it comes to a narcissist? Number 4, gaslighting. Typical things they will say are, "You're always doing this," "You're too sensitive," "Nobody wants you," or "You cannot live without me," in an effort to put self-doubt into your mind. And they will reinforce the self-doubt by repeating those words over and over again. That will alter your self-worth and belief system. They will also use insults that belittle you and guise these insults as jokes. Another thing they like doing is to patronize you and make you feel incompetent. Or what my ex used to say was, "You never allow yourself to be happy," when I was upset about something he had done, trying to make me believe that I was clinically depressed. Number 5, and this is something that is not often talked about. It's called dog whistling. And to explain dog whistling to you, if you've never heard this term before, I will give you a first-hand example of this happening. I couldn't trust my eyes and ears when it happened to someone else right next to me. So a couple of years ago, I was at a department store browsing towels in the kitchen aisle. And there was a woman standing next to me doing the same. And suddenly I hear a whistle like, and the woman looked up, all nervous, and her pit bull of a husband or a boyfriend appeared from behind another shelf, far away looking at her. She immediately dropped what she was doing and had to go to him. And that's how dog whistling works. Literally in the same way as you train and condition a dog to react to the sound of a dog whistle. Next, narcissists will tell you how to dress, how to style your hair, or how much makeup you should wear. Even to the point they will call you a WHORE. So you start wearing boring outfits, have a conservative hairstyle, or refuse to wear makeup altogether to not draw any attention to you anymore. Narcissists simply don't want you to look good to or for others, less even for yourself, because it may boost your self-confidence. They simply want you to be a little gray mouse that neither draws too much attention to herself nor take away any attention from themselves. Rest assured, though, the narcissist will try to triangulate you with some of the prettiest and overly styled women in the room. My ex and I used to work on camera in the film industry, so having a good look was a necessity that came with a job description. No wonder he needed to sabotage that, and not only my chances to connect with other people, but, of course, also to find employment. Here's a paradox, though. On the other hand, Narcissists love associating themselves with a good-looking partner because of the attention and self-confidence it will give them as well. And eventually they may discard you because you let yourself go. I know, they just don't make sense that way. Number 7. Narcissists are also prone to controlling your eating habits, and they will achieve that by conditioning you to believe that you are either too fat or too skinny, or even avoid having any physical contact with you, which includes, of course, the bedroom. And the last way I would like to address is that they may act upset when you are happy, or have something to celebrate, like a personal or professional achievement. Narcissists are highly competitive and want to put your accomplishments in the shadow, because most of them, speaking of the average narcissist here, have nothing accomplished in their own lives. They need to remain superior and not have their inferiority complex triggered and get in the way of their authority over you, especially if you are more accomplished in your career than them, because that makes you a self-sufficient person who doesn't depend on the narcissist most likely. And they fear nothing more than you realizing you absolutely don't need and don't depend on them. So yeah, these are 8 ways in which narcissists tend to condition their victims. One of the most difficult parts of the healing journey is to break this cycle and basically reprogram our former conditioning. Unfortunately, it's often so strong and difficult that victims return to their abusers. But if I was able to do it, I'm positive that you will too. Thank you very much for listening and have a great week.